Good morning, boys and girls. How are you doing? We're going to be focusing on the novel, and we're into chapter 3 now. And it's a great story. This chapter is actually going to talk about how Chester Cricket comes to New York. So I want to read some of this with you. I'm not going to do the whole chapter, but please get your books out. Turn to chapter 3. I've got an older version, so yours is probably on a different page, but the chapter is called Chester, okay? And use a ruler or a piece of paper if you need it, but try to follow along as best you can, and maybe I'll give you something to think about as well. Okay, Tucker Mouse had been watching the Bellinis and listening to what they said. Now, to scrounging, eavesdropping on human beings was what he enjoyed most. That was one of the reasons he lived in the Times Square subway station. As soon as the family disappeared, he darted out across the floor and scooted up to the newsstand. At one side of the boards had separated, and there was a wide space he could jump through. He'd been in a few times before, just exploring. For a moment, he stood under the three-legged stool, letting his eyes get used to the darkness. Then he jumped up on it. "Psst," he whispered. "Hey you, there, are you awake?" There was no answer. "Psst, psst, hey," Tucker whispered again, louder this time. From the shelf above came a scuffling, like little feet feeling their way to the edge. "Who is that going, psst," said the voice. And if you've got this picture, can you see that? It's you can see the cricket is up on top by the clock there, so hopefully you have that one. Okay. "It's me," said Tucker, "down here on the stool." A black head with two shiny black eyes peered down at him. "Who are you?" "A mouse," said Tucker. "Who are you?" "I'm Chester Cricket," said the cricket. He had a high musical voice. Everything he said seemed to be spoken in an unheard melody. "My name's Tucker," said Tucker Mouse. "Can I come up?" "I guess so," said Chester Cricket. "This isn't my house anyway." Tucker jumped up beside the cricket and looked him all over. "A cricket," he said admiringly. "So you're a cricket. I never saw one before." "I've seen mice before," the cricket said. "I knew quite a few back in Connecticut." "Is that where you're from?" asked Tucker. "Yes," said Chester. "I guess I'll never see it again," he said wistfully. "How did you get to New York?" asked Tucker Mouse. "It's a long story," sighed the cricket. "Tell me," said Tucker, settling back on his haunches. He loved to hear stories. It was almost as much fun as eavesdropping if the story was true. "Well, it must have been 3 days ago," Chester Cricket began. "I was sitting on top of my stump, just enjoying the weather and thinking how nice it was that summer had started. I lived inside an old tree stump next to a willow tree, and I often go up to the roof to look around. And I'd been practicing jumping that day too. On the other side of the stump, there was a willow tree. There's a brook that runs past, and I'd been jumping back and forth across it to get my legs in condition for the summer. I do a lot of jumping, you know." "Me too," said Tucker Mouse, "especially around the rush hour. And I had just finished jumping when I smelled something," Chester went on. "Liverwurst, which I love." Have any of you tried liverwurst? You might not know what it is. It's a type of deli meat, I guess is the best way I could put it. "You like liverwurst?" Tucker broke in. Wait, just wait." In one leap, he sprang down all the way from the shelf to the floor and dashed over to his drain pipe. Chester shook his head as he watched him go. He thought Tucker was a very excitable person, even for a mouse. Inside the drain pipe, Tucker's nest was a jumble of papers, scraps of cloth, buttons, lost jewelry, small change, and everything else that could be picked up in a subway station. Tucker tossed things left and right in a wild search. Neatness was not one of the things he aimed at in life. At last, he discovered what he was looking for, a big piece of liverwurst. He had found earlier that morning. It was meant to be for breakfast tomorrow, but he decided that meeting his first cricket was a special occasion. Holding the liverwurst between his teeth, he whisked back to the newsstand. Now, what do you think that would tell you about Tucker's personality? How would you describe him? That's pretty nice, isn't it, to go off and get something special for a new friend? So, over the chapter, it's going to tell you now about how Chester Cricket came from Connecticut. And once you're finished, you're going to find that today's assignment is a writing assignment. And I want you to picture yourself. You can pick any insect or maybe a small animal or something like that. And I want you to have some fun creating a story that has you trapped and going to a new place. What happens with that? Who do you meet along the way? What kind of adventure are you going to have? You'll understand once you finish the chapter, but don't make it the same as Chester's. It can be absolutely anything, and it doesn't have to be long. But I would like you to write it on the document in the online thing that I'm going to put below, and then you submit it to me when you're done. Okay, enjoy the chapter, everyone. I will see you very soon. Thank you.